Okay. I think the best way to start about this is to talk about the first time we had a experience where we understood that worldly masculinity or worldly discipline, to say, at least that's how it hit me, is not enough. You know?
Obviously, we're all human, obviously, right?
Yeah.
So that means we fall.
Mm.
We don't fall once, we fall a couple of times, and we can't rely on a specific person on earth. Name one time Jesus ever fell.
Zero.
So why don't we just look at Jesus and see what he did? Because if you put your trust on another man that failed, you're most likely gonna fall too. You're gonna fall regardless, which is why you need to look at Jesus, because he never failed. When I had to lack a discipline, and I mean like in my spiritual life, when I didn't read my Bible, when I didn't pray enough, for all of that stuff, what a Christian should be doing every day, I was again feeling my spirit. Feeling my flesh. I was, playing games, listening to music, whatever. I did anything to get out of praying and reading the Bible. Or even if I did, I would do pray and read the Bible for 5 minutes, go back to what I was doing. Once you become Christian, you're in a whole different world. It's like a whole different game now.
None of this matters. Like, if we talk about discipline and righteousness and all that stuff, none of that stuff matters if you don't have Christ. The one time I realized that my discipline was not enough was around junior year to senior year. Now, relatively speaking, I'm a disciplined person. I have hardworking parents. I tend to do what I need to do most of the time. Give or take, I don't know. But on the football team, I grew up around people like strong men. And I'm on a sports team, football players who are supposed to be almost the upper echelon, at least so reputationally speaking. Oh, these big, strong, masculine men, right? I got on the team. Very, very quickly, I realized these people are dweebs. And only like 2 or 3 of them actually have respectable, something solid. I go there one time. This is one of my first practices, bro. I'm standing in line, right, warming up, and then Sincere, he's like, hey, where my mouthpiece at, bro? And I'm like, why you asking me? I don't know. He's like, cause I asked you, mother. I'm like, and I'm standing there, very disrespectful, okay, but I'm standing there. I'm like, he just said that to me, right? I feel like I should hit him, but he's big, so, and I'm new here, so I don't really know. But then I see not just him, but people around, like the people that are strong on the field. They have this macho-ness on the field and stuff like that. It's see-through. Even societally speaking, like masculinity is doing what you're supposed to do and sacrificing and da-da-da-da-da. Yeah. They can't do their homework. They're failing classes. Even in their workouts, they can't even like keep up really. When coach is turning his back, they're ducking. They don't even think about anything. They just talk. It's like I'm talking and every single word is going over his head. I'm like, how are you in a senior, man? This is insane. But one time it really stuck out to me that discipline, self-discipline, self-confidence is not even enough. If it takes no discipline, it's incredibly easy. If it takes discipline, it's not that hard. Because once it becomes actually hard, actually worthwhile, you know what it takes? Not discipline, it takes God. You cannot discipline yourself out of sin. It's not in your nature. Okay? You're not that strong, you're not that God.
With lust, I know a lot of men struggle with that. We see in the Bible, David, we all know that one kid that beat Goliath. We know that he became king, but he fell into lust. And then what did he do to cover it? He sinned again.
Exactly.
He murdered somebody else. When you sin, you can't do anything, right? That's why we go to God and ask for forgiveness. Because if we try to do something and then we're just going to keep sinning and sinning and sinning, you just give it to God. Why do you have to keep on sinning? Just give it to God.
We have so much superficial masculinity in this world. I'm not even talking toxic masculinity because that has nothing to do with this. Nowadays, when you think of someone who's a masculine man, what do you first think of? Money, status, fame, girls. None of those things are biblical. Jesus Christ, was he rich? No. Did he have status when he was on earth? Somewhat, but it wasn't like it wasn't
like as fame.
Yeah.
When he died, it was bad.
He came out of nowhere. This was a carpenter. Okay? Did he have girls? I don't know. Probably not. He has to be 6'5", bench 399,000 pounds. All these standards to make up for something that's nowhere near there. Even for the guys and the girls, because girls need to hear this too. None of those things matter because none of those things are what keeps you with God. If you're a masculine man of God, almost inevitably you're going to be doing things that are societally accepted to be masculine. However, it's not the other way around. Just because you're doing things that are societally, masculine doesn't mean you're a masculine man. And I'm saying masculine by God's definition because that's the only definition that matters. Andrew Tate, David Goggins, Fresh and Fit.
They all say the same thing.
Same thing.
Just to motivate you or whatever.
Yeah.
You gotta get a little weak boy. Like you're too weak, you need to get up.
Yeah.
Go get some girls.
I'm almost 100% sure one thing, they're not who they claim to be. Why? Because they have an image. And as a man, every man knows this, and every man that has a wife, every wife of a man, of a strong man knows this. They're not a hero. They fall. Just like everybody else. There's some days David Goggins does not get up and run. There's some days Andrew Tate does not get up and bench. Whenever we work out, right, because we work out almost every single time we get here, one of the things that gets me through it is thinking, this is the easiest part. What's not easy? Reading my Bible every single day. Praying. Loving my neighbor.
Denying the flesh.
Denying the flesh.
That's sort of hard.
Right?
Yeah.
That's hard. What I can't do, for some reason, Christ stuff. You know why? Because that can be done with discipline. The other stuff cannot. Because that is actually a challenge. That's why we need Jesus. Without God, you have no strength.
You can't understand God without having God. Mm-hmm. So those people, when we're trying to understand God, because they don't have God, and
they just make their own God,
and that's what makes them think that they're masculine, that they could do everything themselves. They're just ignorant to things. They only could do the things they could do.
Exactly.
If they were to read the Bible and see how bad they are, and to give up everything for Christ, then they will finally see, oh shoot, maybe I'm not
that guy.
I need God.
Yeah.
He's hit it right on the head. The reason they think they're masculine is because they haven't seen what masculinity is. Mm-hmm. Okay? The same reason the feminists think they can be men is because they don't know what manhood is. You don't know what a man is. God, Christ, that's what a man is. That's what a man is supposed to be. How hard is it to get girls? It's not hard. How hard is it to get famous? It's not hard. None of these things are difficult. You know what is hard? Being a servant of Christ. Because when I say getting girls, and I say getting fame, and I say all those things, if you're not Christian, even if you might be Christian, those things don't really hit you. But when I say being a servant of God, that hits you in your soul. Because you understand how difficult that is. That's something different. A whole different level. Mm-hmm. Like, I think it was Paul Washer that said it. God is not better than you. God is in a league of his own.
Every man that you see that's masculinity, they do everything for their ego, including their beliefs. What do Muslims do? They do works so they could talk about it and tell you how masculine and how disciplined they are. Like, I just did this yoga, or I just meditated. I feel real good. I feel my chakras coming up or something. It's for their own benefit.
It's for your own benefit.
That's why with Christianity, it's just a sacrifice, because we all know that we fell and we've been in a situation that we realize that we need God. So what did we do? We surrender ourselves, surrender our hearts, and put our ego on the side. That's a big thing with Christianity.
And a true Christian is someone who follow Christ, who deny their flesh, who repented of their sins, and carry the cross every day. That's what a true Christian is. Because you can't be a true Christian and still live your old life. You can't be a true Christian and still want to do what your own passion is.
The way you know a true Christian versus not a Christian, a person who isn't a Christian at all, one of the things is what they say. What they say about sin, what they say about God, what they say about themselves. Do you say your sin is bad? Do you want to be away from it? Do you want to be away from it? Because I know I had to deal with that too. You understand how weak and evil and wrong and bent you are. The reason it's so bent, not just in America and everywhere, is because there are many, many people that say they believe, but they don't actually believe. And you don't want to know, the number one way to know what if they don't, ask them what they believe. Ask them.
Ask them if they're a good person. That's a big
Ask them if you're a good person. Ask them if what they think about sin. Ask them if how heavy it is.
Yeah.
If you put the best Christian, the most disciplined Christian, us, in a Muslim, and flip us over to Islam, we'll do perfectly fine. Perfect. Pray 5 times a day. You can swear, don't eat bacon. You can listen to whatever music you really want to.
That's easy.
Cake.
Easy.
I do that on a bad day. On a bad day. However, put the best Muslim, make him Christian. This was on his knees crying and crying and crying and praying for one more sin to go away. Because that's the standard. That's the standard.
And when he means by us as being best Christians,
Oh,
we don't compete, and we're not.
Yeah.
We just have an understanding that we can't do anything on our own.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and we know how we're saved, because if you ask a lot of people how are you saved, they say by works. They say they go to church or whatever. We are saved because of Jesus Christ and what He did on the cross.
There's a reason. There's a reason. The number one thing that changes when you could become Christian is not tradition. It's not what you do. It's not what you say. It's not that. That's not the number one thing. I said it on the story. It's your identity. It's who you are. So that's why if you're not a man of Christ, you need to get on that yesterday. Mm-hmm. And if you are a man of Christ, you need to get on that like you've never. You need to cling on to Christ like you're about to drown if you let him go, because that's how it is.
Yeah. Everything I do and like every like thing I say on stage, like it really doesn't matter if I'm like going back home and I'm doing secret sin. Exactly. You have to understand, God sees everything that we do. It's not like when you sin He turns away. No, He's like seeing you and saying like really, is this what I died for?
Yeah.
And it's kind of selfish for us to have self pleasure for what, like 15 minutes when God came down, see that we needed hope. And then He died on the cross when He did nothing wrong.
Exactly.
And then He still forgave the people. You can't forgive the person that tripped you like as a joke.
You need strong men, and there is no man that is strong unless he has Christ. You know you're not that strong, man. You know you're not that strong. Mm-hmm. You're one heartbreak away from making a sad crying TikTok. Let your hiding place, let your crying place, let your I'm scared place, let that be in Christ. Because if it's in anything else, you're doomed, bro.
It was a time where, bro, I felt hopeless, and like it sucked because like it was like everything I did was pointless, and I couldn't find no joy in nothing, and that was because I thought the presence of God left me. The reason why I felt so hopeless was because I knew my only hope was in God, and if I felt like God left me, then I had nothing. Because I already had a taste. I could say I have a taste of most of everything. I had a taste of what having a lot of money feels like. Even though I wasn't rich, I had possessions that were valuable. Yeah. I had girls, right? And I had like whatever a teenager wanted. I had that. I was privileged enough. I had friends. I had video games. I had sports. I had friends, and I had a lot of things. But when I found out that Christ was my only hope, I went into Christ because I knew that couldn't fulfill anything in me, because all of that is gonna go eventually. And when I had Christ, I was happy. But then when I felt like I didn't have Christ, my only hope that I felt fulfilled, and when I felt like I didn't have that, I fell into this depression where it literally made me. The only thing I thought of was I need you. My whole day was ruined because I feel like I didn't have God.
I remember that too.
And if anybody's struggling, remember that feelings doesn't mean God left you. Okay, it could be a test. So when I was in that moment, all I did was pray and cry, cause there's nothing else I could do. I try to pray. I try to play the game. I try to go back to the old things that made me happy. It didn't make me happy. But when I kept on Christ, because I'm still here with Christ, I'm not leaving. It's because Christ, He fulfilled me, and as long as I stay in Christ, He's gonna stay with me.
I have never felt so dark. Is the best way to describe. I've never felt so empty inside. That's the best way to say. Not in the way that there's no purpose in this world, because that's just that doesn't reach what I'm trying to say here. Where like I felt like my existence was like it didn't mean anything. I'm being dead serious. If during that time, if I'm walking down the street and a bus is about to hit me, I don't even think I would move. Better listen, as a man, as a woman, as anybody, right? You should be scared to death. Scared to death if you don't have Christ. There's an evil in you, which is sin, and you have no way to get away from it. That's one of the worst parts about it. You work out every day. You go to work on time, right? You don't waste your time, right? You do things with purpose. strong man. You box. You make your money. You provide for your family. What about all those billion sins that you just left behind? Just because you don't see them doesn't mean they're not there. Doesn't mean God doesn't see them. Those things matter, bro. So when we're saying this stuff, we don't want you to now get up and pull yourself by the bootstraps and go to the gym and work out and da da da. That's not what this is for. You can go on everybody else motivation. You can go on YouTube, type in motivation. You'll have that all freaking eternity long. That's not what we're here to talk about, because that's not what's important. Go to Christ. That is it. That's what's important. Not pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. No, you put down your hands, you put down your head, you get on your knees, and you go to God and beg Him to forgive you. Even if you're a Christian. Because guess what? We all need forgiveness.
Life might seem fun and all of that right now. Because I'm telling you, because you are young. And because you're just living in the moment right now. But I'm telling you, it's gonna pass up like this. Because there's sometimes where I do want to go back. I do want to go back and talk to some girls. I do want to go back and go to some old friends. I want to go back and live my old lifestyle. Sometimes I get urges to do that. But then that's where the fight starts. You want to go back and stuff like that, because a lot of people are struggling with that. Where they feel like, first, if you are really saved, you're not going to go back. The only way to win that is through Christ, because He's the only one that could change you.
Yeah. While we were sinners,
Oh, shit.
Christ loved us. Right? I don't know where that is from.
From the Bible.
It's from the Bible, but I don't know the verse exactly.
The New Testament.
Huh? New Testament too. I'm on there.
It's a wonderful verse.
Another thing. He who is in Christ is a new creature.
The old has passed, the new has come.